Hello, this is Christian Idealism, and today we are going to be looking at the weak objections to idealism. This is, of course, brought to you by Cal Allender. So first, we have the concreteness objection. And the felt concreteness of the world is a popular intuitive reason why people typically reject idealism. However, concreteness and anything we have come to assume to be outside of consciousness still appeals to mentality. The world we experience are just different qualities of experience. A thing outside consciousness and the qualities of experience is abstract and can't be felt by anything or anyone, so the felt concreteness of the world cannot be used as evidence against idealism if concreteness itself is still a quality of experience. So this objection carries little weight. Now we have the autonomy of nature objection, which is that if nature is in consciousness, we should be able to change the laws of nature, but nature acts independent of our volition and we cannot change these laws. However, consciousness takes place outside of our volition and free will. We largely lack control of our dreams and our direct thoughts. However, we can take control over these things within our personal psyches, but not the universe at large due to it being outside our personal psyches. We do see it as separate from ourselves, but we don't control it because there is more to reality than our personal psyches. Now, before I continue, a personal psyche is our personal awareness within our minds and our free will. It is the part of us that we have direct introspection to. However, consciousness goes beyond this since we can have experiences without being aware of those experiences. And so now we have the natural order objection, which is that if our perceptions of nature are in consciousness, then this must be stable at root. But our personal thoughts are unstable, so it's implausible that we are in universal consciousness, since we know that consciousness, in this case our personal psyches, is disorderly. However, the problem is that this assumes universal consciousness is the same as human thoughts, which it is not. Universal consciousness can work in an ordered way by having the laws of nature as archetypes of consciousness. This means that as time moves forward, the universe would follow natural order and build what it wants within itself. So natural laws can still work in regular ways within universal consciousness. Now, some clarification here. Kastrup holds the view that universal consciousness lacks awareness or knowledge of its own experiences, and thus it would be fully determined by these laws. However, I differ in that universal consciousness does have its own self-awareness and can intervene by volition if it needs to at times. In other words, it can do miracles. A future video will be needed to dive deeper into this idea, but basically one can hold to a view of universal consciousness as a personal being rather than an impersonal being, and again, it could still follow natural laws, but at times, through its volition, it could quote-unquote violate these laws, or in other words, it could have miracles take place. So now we have the equivalence objection, which is that the notion of there being an objective mental reality outside personal psyches is equivalent to the physicalist notion of an objective reality outside consciousness. However, the issue with this objection is that any robust ontology must entail something beyond our awareness and direct experiences, since we need to explain why we all live in the same world and why we cannot change its natural laws. We know that consciousness is a sole, undeniable ontological class and is the primacy of existence. So while physicalism proposes a fundamental new ontology beyond consciousness, idealism just expands the boundaries of consciousness without adding a new ontological category. And so it's not equivalent, is what I'm trying to say. So now we have the Solipsism objection, which is that idealism implies that it is only one's own mind that exists. However, this is probably the worst objection, since idealism does accept a world beyond one's own personal psyche. A world beyond one's own mind or personal psyche is either other minds or universal consciousness itself, by which the whole universe is the extrinsic appearance of this universal consciousness. So now we have the final objection, or the weak objections, which is the Cosmological History objection, and that it argues that since the universe existed before conscious life arose, then it is implausible that the universe exists in consciousness. However, the assumption is that consciousness, or raw experience, only arises with biology. However, biology, under idealism, is just the extrinsic appearance of personal psyches, or what Bernardo Castro calls them, disassociated local differentiations of consciousness, aka alters. It is not the origin of experience itself. There was universal consciousness before these alters arose, and it's plausible that due to fine-tuning, that universal consciousness had the awareness to create life and these alters. And so that will be my video. Thank you guys for watching, and have a nice day.